Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. So, we are from group 7 and 8 of D class. We are gonna do the practice of Physical Chemistry 1 with the title of our object is Determination of Calorimetry and its application. First of all, let me introduce ourselves. First is me. My name is Seprialdi.
And then my name is Siska Amanda.
My name is Gian Diwani.
My name is Salsabila Latifah.
So without any further ado, let's start the video.
A calorimeter is an instrument used to measure heat and thermal energy. Calorimetry is a measurement of heat using a calorimeter. There are two types of calorimeters, namely bomb calorimeters and simple calorimeters. Therefore, an experiment was carried of the calorimeter constant in order to learn about heat or the measurement of thermal energy and to know the properties of the calorimeters. And then the working principle of the calorimeters is based on the Black principle, which is stated as follows. First, if the objects having different temperatures are brought close to contact, the final temperature of the two objects having different temperature after thermal equilibrium is reached will be same. The amount of heat received is the same as the amount of heat given. And then the second is, if an object releases heat, there will be a change in the state of the substance, in addition to a change in size. For example, if water is cold, it will turn into ice. From the first liquid water, it turns into ice, from liquid to solid. Likewise, what happens to liquids that evaporate into gas?
Before we get into the experiment, I will explain the tools and materials that will be used in this experiment first. The tools used in this experiment are: the first is beaker glass as a container for the solution, and then calorimeter as a tool to measure heat changes. Next is measure glass as a tool to measure the volume of solution. Next is funnel as a tool to help move the solution. And then stirring rod as a tool for stirring the solution. And then thermometer as a tool to measure temperature. And the last is watch glass as a tool for weighing substances in the form of solids. And then the samples that we used in this experiment are: the first is colorless bleach, and then is aqueous, and next is sodium hydroxide, and the last is acetone.
Okay, we are going to the first test. There is calorimeter constant. First, calculated 50 milliliters of water using a measuring cylinder. Then, 50 milliliters of distilled water is put into the calorimeter. The third is determine the temperature of that water. Heat another 50 milliliter water until the temperature reached about 35 derajat Celsius until 40 derajat Celsius. Then, pour the heated water into the calorimeter filled with unheated water. Next step is the temperature of the water in the calorimeter is recorded every 30 seconds by stirring until the 8 minutes. And the last, a curve is made between time and temperature to obtain the right maximum temperature.
Okay, for the next experiment is burning heat. To see how it works, let's get into it. First, measure 100 milliliters of aqueous with measuring glass and then pour it into the calorimeter. Then record the temperature every 30 seconds while stirring it. Next, measure 4 grams of sodium chloride with the analytical balance. And then pour it into the calorimeter and stir it until it combined. Next, record the temperature from the mixture of aqueous and sodium chloride every 30 seconds until 6 minutes.
The third experiment was carried out, namely the heat of reaction. First, put 25 ml of acetone and then into the calorimeter. And then 75 ml of succulent was added and stirred into the calorimeter. And then we measured and recorded temperature and time when succulent entered. Temperature reading is continued every 30 seconds until the 6 minutes.
From the experiments that have been carried out, it can be seen that the water temperature increased and also mixture of acetone and closest bleach. This is due to the application of the Black principle, in which a mixture will reach an equilibrium temperature, where a low temperature water absorbs heat from hotter water and hotter water releases heat, and the amount of heat absorbed or released is the same. However, for change in temperature during stirring, where the temperature increases or decreases, it's because the calorimeter that we use is an open system, where in the calorimeter there are still two holes that can be a source of heat entry or exit, or in other words, as a source of heat transfer.
So I think that's all from us. If there are any mistake that we made, please forgive us.
And thank you for your attention.
Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.